What is up, y'all? I think it's March 27th. Honestly, I've sort of lost track of the days because of the coronavirus. I'm not going to work every day like I used to, and it just feels like one long weekend. Everything's blurring together. But for my sanity, I've decided to get out for a bit. I'm going to do a little bit of fishing. This here is a spot that I used to come for coral snakes. I've never tried fishing here before, but it looks good, and it's a tributary into a very popular bayou that people fish and catch huge fish out of. So worst case scenario, I can hoof it down there like half a mile to the big bayou. But I just got out of the car. I wasn't even planning to fish here, but it seems like the water is kind of low, and normally this would be flowing pretty good, but it seems like there's not really any current. So my thought is maybe the fish are kind of trapped in here, and I'm not really sure. But what I'm after today are gar, maybe alligator gar fail number 4, or a big catfish would be great. So I've got, I think, some unnecessarily heavy rigging going on. I've never put a wire leader on before, so I decided to do that just for kicks. I doubt I'm going to need it. It's kind of overkill, but I thought it would just be fun to try to rig one of those up. So I've got a big treble hook here. This is like a 100-pound wire leader, and then I've got 65-pound braid. And for bait, what I'm going to be using is Asian grass carp that I caught a few days ago. So I got a big chunk of that. I'm going to use this as cut bait. I also have a couple of little bluegills, which are also refrigerated, so I don't have any live bait. I really wish I had some live bait. That would be awesome, but I'm just going to have to make do. So I'm going to hang out here for a little bit, see if I can get anything, and if not, I'm going to head down to the big bayou. So let's see what happens. So I actually just found this thing. I think it might be a shad. It's in really bad shape. He was just sort of like stranded on the rocks over there, I think maybe when the water dropped. But he's still alive, so I'm not going to put him on there whole, but this will be the freshest bait that I've got. So I'm going to cut him up and use him for cut bait. Should be pretty good. I think this is a shad, so this is a really popular bait around here. Okay, so I got what I believe is a shad head sitting out there, and I've loosened the drag up all the way in case the gar picks it up. Hopefully he won't feel any resistance, or very little, and he'll be able to just sort of run back and forth here to his heart's content. The one thing I am nervous about here, though, is snags. See, where I grew up in upstate New York, you could, like, the water was just crystal clear. It didn't matter if you were in a lake or a stream. Like, you could always just see 10, 20 feet down to the bottom. But here, like, the visibility is maybe an inch at most. And so I'm concerned that, there's going to be trees and pieces of cement and just all kinds of junk down there to snag me up on. So we'll see. And I suppose while I'm killing time, I could go look for coral snakes. That is a broad-banded water snake. Not a copperhead, cottonmouth rather. They do look a bit like them though. And I'm sure many get killed by people who think they're cottonmouths. But once you've seen the real thing, and you've seen a couple of these, it's pretty easy to tell the difference. This guy's harmless. All right, so for this one, I've got another rod here. I just used a piece of that shad, this little cut piece. There's no wire leader on this one, but I do have heavier line. So this is 80-pound braid, and this is a really solid hook here. So I'm gonna just put this on here and toss this out in the opposite direction, like so. Well, I'm seeing fish jumping here, and there's actually some people fishing just up the way, I imagine for catfish. So I've only had my line in the water for like 5 minutes, but I really came down here to fish the big bayou. So if nothing takes the bait here pretty shortly, I'm gonna follow this down. I'm actually really interested in where this thing converges, where the bayou, and what that looks like. I think that might be a really good spot. So I'm gonna just give it a couple minutes here, and if I don't get anything, I'm gonna pack it up and hike downstream. All right. Well, I probably should have been more patient. I only had my lines in the water for a couple of minutes over there, and I decided to pull them up and hike to where that stream meets the big bayou. I mean, that was really what my plan was today, was to come down to this bigger bayou. And so I just hiked for like a half a mile. I got these big clunky boots on and all this gear, and even though it's only March, it's like 95 degrees here today. So I'm already pretty wiped out, and I haven't even really gotten started yet. 95 degrees in March, that's Houston. It's gonna be a brutal summer. All right, so I got one set up just up the tributary a little bit. Looks like very calm water, but it looks pretty shallow. And I'm seeing turtles, unfortunately. And then I took the big head from that shad and I lobbed it in here. I don't know if you can see that current, but I tossed it just to the left of that where the water goes slack. Hopefully it's not just tons and tons of snags here. I suspect it may be. Oh, and I almost forgot. This is Alligator Gar attempt number 4. Will it be fail number 4, or will I get my first one today? I think I got a decent chance. I know they're here. Hard part is actually hooking one. You know, fishing really does take a lot of patience, and I am not a very patient person by nature.
Down by the river, singing songs of joy on this lovely day. Oh yeah, 3 singing birds told me by sunrise he's always there in the morning, praying and blessing the day.
Oh man, damn it. I'm all snagged up. I'm gonna have to break the line. I'm thinking maybe the whole time my bait's just been like sitting there wedged into a rock crevice or under a tree or something. That sucks. That's one of the bad things about treble hooks, man. They really get snagged up in everything. Dang it. Well, I just had to break my line. I had a really nice piece of bait on there with a treble hook, that 100-pound wire leader, all gone. There's something just out there, like 10 yards out that way, rock solid. I don't know, it could be a downed tree, it could be a piece of concrete, it could be anything around here. I have no idea, but that really sucks. I'm thinking that the whole time my bait was just like, you know, snagged up in that thing while I was sitting there, and maybe not even, like, you know, a fish might not have even been able to see it or go for it or whatever. So I re-rigged. I put like just like this cheap Walmart wire leader thing on there. Actually don't even have a weight on. Put a big solid hook on, another piece of carp, and I flung that sucker way out. Hopefully past the snag. And so it's just kind of sitting there, I guess on the bottom, just from the weight of the fish. It looks like the water kind of slows down naturally by itself there, widens out a little bit. So I don't really know. I'm starting to lose hope at this point. Maybe I could try back at that spot where I first stopped at, right as I got out of the car there. That looked okay. It just looked really shallow. So I had all my hopes pinned on this spot, and so far I haven't even had a single bite. I've seen some really, really big, what I believe are gar, surfacing kind of over, if you can see where the trees come over the bayou there. They make that little canopy, but that's out of range for me. I don't think I can get down that far, and I can't cross over to that side of the bayou and walk down there. So I'm gonna try for a little bit here, and then I'm gonna hoof it and just sort of, I guess, tool around at that little stream right by the car as it gets dark, and just finish up there. So maybe give it like another 20 or 30 minutes here. Running out of daylight, running out of time. And the clock is ticking here. It looks like it's shaping up to be Alligator Gar Fail number 4. Well, I'm really disappointed. Not a single bite, but I gotta pack it in. Running out of daylight here, and I've got a little bit of a hike still to get back to the car. But there is that spot there. Definitely don't think there's monster fish there like there is here, but it's right by the car, so I can just sort of chill out there for a couple of minutes and just fish until it gets dark. But that's probably gonna be it. Assuming I don't catch anything, we'll call that Alligator Gar Fail number 4. So stay tuned for next time. Thanks, guys.